From the streets of India to war zones, boardrooms, my story, well, it's been nothing short of bizarre, I don't know, unique. There's a word in there somewhere that describes, but I'll tell you what, it's been something. As far as the story goes, or as much as I know anyway, I was abandoned at birth in India and found by a passerby. They dropped me off in an orphanage. Within India, within the culture and the caste system there, they believe that whatever you've done in your previous life, well, it ultimately determines the circumstances amidst which you're born. And so for me to be abandoned at birth, to be placed in a field, to be found by a passerby, I must have done something heinous in my previous life. In many ways, the culture, it wrote my fate for me. Declared an untouchable, unable to be adopted. And ultimately in that moment, in so many ways, my fate and my future were sealed. But through, providence, through purpose, I'm not sure which one it is, but a lady who looked after me at the orphanage took a liking to me. And one night under the cover of darkness, she smuggled me across a state line. More than that, she went to some nuns and she bribed them with cash, literal cash. And what was crazy was not only did they accept it, but they rewrote my birth certificate. They changed the details of my birth so that I could be adopted under that state's law. And so in many ways in that moment, my fate, well, it was rewritten. And I was adopted by a family here in Australia and got to grow up in one of the greatest countries on the planet. I think back, what was that, the 80s? And I think back to that, just how unbelievably risky it must have been. To be honest, and my hope is, maybe there's a chance one day I'll get to meet that woman. Thank her for the sacrifice she made, the risks that she took. In so many ways, it shaped who I am today. But my life in Australia, well, it was like any immigrant, adoptee, whatever you want to call it. I grew up as the only brown kid in school until I was 16. I faced all of the challenges, spat on, beat up, left out. One of the things that I remember most is I must have been in year 3 or 4, walking across the playground. A girl, I can still remember her name. She was 2 years older than me. She walked over to me and she says, "You black motherfucker." And she spat all over me. What's crazy, not only can I remember her name, but the thing that really sticks out in that moment for me is that, she hocked this thing up from the back of her throat and she must have been eating chocolate or something because when she spat on me, what I can remember is just the amount of sort of brown muck and just stuff on my shirt. It's funny how experiences shape you and in many ways probably fuel your passion. Fuel my passion now for making the world a better place through generosity, through kindness, inclusivity. And now you sort of come forward 20 years or so. And for me, well, in so many ways, it's all starting to make sense. I love that we spend our lives walking forwards. And it's not until in those moments we sort of pause and look backwards that you realize just how beautiful the journey is, how far you've come. I've spent the last 12 years working in the not-for-profit sector. I've been in lockdown in hotels because of risk of kidnapping for ransom. I've stared ISIS in the face on the Nineveh plain in Iraq. In Syria at the height of the war with ISIS, I've delivered humanitarian aid and help to refugee camps on the Syrian border. I've worked with drug addicts, criminals, murderers in Central Asia, and I'll tell you what, I've been chased by the secret police on more occasions than I care to count. And to be honest, in all of these experiences, I can say that I have seen the absolute best parts of humanity intersect with some of the heartbreakingly worst parts. It shaped my desire to help not-for-profits, to help charities, to help organisations that commit their lives to helping others. I don't think people realise is that, well, generosity is the only language on earth that everyone speaks. We all experience grief, right? But think about it. Grief, it is expressed differently the world over, culture by culture. We all experience humour. But again, the idiosyncrasies of humour can leave you either feeling included or excluded in a heartbeat. Generosity, on the other hand, it's earmarked, it's denoted by both a hand out and a hand up the world over. It's a sense-making tool. It defies race, religion, age, economic status, gender, sexuality. It's the truest measure of inclusivity. And because of that, it matters now more than ever to find ways to make it more accessible to people. I started Charitabl a couple of years ago, and as a startup, one of the questions we get asked most is this: what makes you unique? And I've got a fundamental problem with that question to startup people or founders, because I think it's actually not what makes you unique that matters. It's where you're going to place it. You see, every single one of us, we can dream big. I mean, there are some people who can see big, that's the ability to sort of talk about it to others. But there are very few people in the world who can build big. And the thing with Charitable is that, well, its uniqueness, it doesn't lie in the technology. The uniqueness of Charitable lies in the concept. Because it may be Australia's, might even be the world's first centralised, native, app-based donation platform. I mean, the best way to think of it is like the Uber Eats of giving to charities. With Charitable, you can find trustworthy charities, you can make commission-free donations in seconds. I mean, we offer all users annual giving statements. Is that not one of the easiest, most simplified things you've ever heard of? You no longer need to look for receipts. It integrates with Apple Pay, Google Pay. The lists of charities featured on there must be registered and reporting, so it's trustworthy, it's safe, it's secure. I mean, it's important. Because I'm a firm believer that accessibility, it will always increase the size of a market. All right, you make it easier to book a bed to sleep in, tourism grows, Airbnb. You make it easier to order food to your home, and well, hospitality grows, Uber Eats. Can you begin to imagine what might happen if we make it easier for people to give? Our dream is that Charitable would become the household name in giving globally, to modernise what is historically such an archaic, barrier-full way of donating to charities. By making charitable giving easy and accessible for both users and charities, I truly believe we will increase the size of the market. Just as other apps have transformed industries, my hope is that we will revolutionise charitable giving globally. Charitable is not just about tech. It's about creating a community. A place where everyone, regardless of their background, can feel part of something bigger. I mean, it's inclusivity at its finest. Because ultimately, I built Charitable because it was my pay it forward. For the paediatrician who saved me, for the nurse who smuggled me across borders, and ultimately for the family who welcomed me in with open arms and as one of their own. If we can pull this off, well, it becomes a global pay-it-forward platform where people can find and support all the causes close to their hearts, because whether we like it or not, every single person on the planet will one day either be a contributor towards generosity or a recipient of generosity. We built a secure, state-of-the-art platform that allows users to stay in touch with the charities they love and charities to stay in touch with the donors. Ultimately, it's built by users, for users, by fundraisers, for fundraisers. Honestly, I can't stress it enough. Download it today because we want you to become part of a community that I truly believe will change the world of giving as we know it. Charitable is the easy way to give. A global pay-it-forward platform. It's safe, secure, trustworthy, and commission-free. So you want to change the world? Give back to the people who have helped shape, develop, and encourage you along the way? Well, come and join us. Because Charitable, in my view, it's going to change the world.